Man, this episode was so good that I had to get my drink. Let's talk about it, y'all. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel and click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow all the information I have in the description box as well as the comment section. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. Now, before I get started with this review, let me send a special shout out to the GMHC crew, which is Gay Men's Health Collaborative. If you are in the DMV area and would like to get tested for HIV, reach out to us at the GMHC crew to get a home testing kit. You can have the kit mailed to you, or you can call and make a same-day appointment and come by our location to pick one up. Also, if you're interested in getting set up for PrEP, which is HIV prevention, reach out to us at the GMHC crew for that as well. Also, if you're a fan of KRSTV and would like to become one of my Black Diamonds, check out my Patreon today. Black Diamonds, because in darkness, we still shine. For $3 a month, you'll get all of my content as well as videos specifically designed for my Black Diamonds. So check out my Patreon. Also, check out my YouTube partner, BK WorldTube, which is the Black Netflix. You get everything from shows like Love and Hip Hop to this show that I'm reviewing here, The Haves and the Have-Nots. So check out BK WorldTube after you watch this review. Click that link in my description box and also in the comment section to check out BK WorldTube today. Now, this is The Haves and the Have-Nots Season 8, Episode 3, and the name of this episode is The Long Drive Home. This was a really good episode because the ending gave me life as to why I got my drink. And I literally had to pour my drink for this episode because, child, Hannah gave me life, child. But I'm going to talk about that whole situation because, you know, the episode left off where Jim and David walked in on Hannah working on those financial papers. But I'm going to talk about all that at the end because how this whole thing went down, I gagged. I was here for it. Hannah did the damn thing this episode, y'all. But let me begin here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, well, I also noticed something. I also noticed something in the last episode when Jim and David were having like this back and forth, and they're trying to scheme, you know, their whole power over Catherine's finances. Did it not remind you of Samuel Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained, where Samuel Jackson was like the leech feeding the white man information? That's exactly the same relationship that Jim had, that David has. It's the same damn relationship between David and Jim. It's a damn shame. But let me begin here. First, I'm going to talk about Veronica and Celine. Celine is so distraught after being sat down by her boss. She moseys her ass to Veronica's house, just walks in and just goes off, and Veronica was like, bitch, get the fuck out my house. And she's like, excuse me? She's like, bitch, I didn't invite you in here. And you're in my space, and I didn't invite you to be in it. So take your ass up out of here. And then she made her, you know, go out and literally knock on the door. Knock. And she's like, yes. And then she walks in and she's like, did I say you can come in? Try the shit again. And then she knocks on and she's like, come in. And she's like, can I come in? Like, I said come in. See, that's what's problem with y'all asses. Y'all don't know how to come in legally. I was like, bitch! What? That damn Veronica in her mouth is crazy. And then she talks about, then Celine tells her that they're trying to get me fired. And she's like, who? And she says, Jim and David. And she was like, I need this job. And she says, clearly from that purse and from that blouse. And like, damn, bitch, where'd you shop? The Titanic? I was like, oh, shit! Really? Oh man, that joke was praised. That joke was honey. And then like Celine is panicking. I cannot lose my job. I cannot lose my job. And she's like, well, bitch, if you that pressed to keep that job at the hospital shoveling shit, I will see what I can do. I'll let your boss know that I'm representing you. And then all of a sudden she talks about, you know, Jimmy having to run in with Jim, and she starts speaking in in Spanish, and she's like, boo boo. Do you see how I look? I don't give a damn about your telenova moment. I was like, she is so disrespectful, young. And she says that the problem with you, Celine, is that you talk too much. And she's like, no. You need to say less. And do it in English. I'm like, ooh. And she was like, and then Veronica was like, well, hell. If things don't work out at the hospital, you can always come work for me. And she says, well, if you help me to take down Jim, I'll be gladly to work for you. And then she starts speaking in Spanish again that, you know, a bitch like you lives like a dog and you will die like a dog. But then she's like, what you say? She's like, it would be an honor to work for you, Veronica. And then she leaves and she was like, let me get my Spanish dictionary because I know that bitch didn't say nothing nice. And you would be right, bitch. With your evil ass. Then we get a scene where Benny again goes to see Rihanna. And Rihanna is still shaking up because, you know, Sandy is still bullying her with his punk ass. And she keeps saying his allergies, and she's found the listings that he's looking for. And you can definitely see there's some chemistry between Benny and Rihanna. And it's going to be interesting because you got punk ass Sandy literally being a straight up bully. And when he shows up, he shows his punk royal ass. And I'm going to get to it. So then Benny, you know, that moment I was fucking with Benny, but as soon as Benny gets back to the hotel with Candace, Benny again starts with his dumb punk bullshit. He and his feelings about Derek and the whole situation. He's mad at Candace because Candace didn't tell him, and then he's like, we need to check out, and she was like, we actually have a day left. And he's like, oh, whatever. He's like, yeah, I see you had a pregnancy test. Did you take it? So pretty much it's out there now that Candace is possibly pregnant, but we don't know if she took the test or not to know for sure. And then like all of a sudden he was like, and then all of a sudden Candace was like, oh, I know why you trying to, you know, get out of here so quick. I see what you've been dealing with. And she put up the phone and it was a picture of Rihanna. She's like, she's cute. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, so that's the reason why you pressed to get over there? He's like, yeah, you know, I could get that, you know what I'm saying? You know I can. I'm like, yeah, we all know, Benny, you a hoe ass dude who pretty much got toxic dick. We definitely know that about you, Benny. And then Mitch shows up, and he giving Mitch the blues. Just being all disrespectful, like, oh, so what am I supposed to do when you find out that, you know, your sister's father raped your mother? What you gonna do about that? And he's like, yeah, I will handle mine, but I will respect your mother and your sister's wishes to leave it alone. But Benny ain't trying to hear nobody. Then he all in his feelings about Mitch, you know, because Candace said that she's hungry. She wanted to go out to eat. But Benny said he needed to freshen up. And then she says, won't you come join us? And he's like, nah, he can't come. Like, what you doing? Huh? Why you two so close? I'm like, bruh. Candace and Mitch had a whole damn relationship under your nose, Benny. That's how stupid and completely naive you actually are. And he's like, you up to something. You up to something. Yeah, they up to something to protect your dumb ass from yourself because you keep always involving yourself in shit and they had to constantly pull you out of stuff. Your crazy ass. Then his ass go and takes a shower, and Candace and Mitch have a moment, but Mitch is looking at Candace like something is different about her. So I think they're kind of giving that allure that, you know, he knows Candace very well. So he's kind of noticing there's something different about Candace. And she's like, you know, don't even pay his ass no mind. I ain't worried about him. You know, because Benny's a fucking idiot. And we all know this. I'm like, Benny was just doing too much. Then we get a scene with Wyatt and his good-for-nothing junkie ass. He's meeting with a therapist. He's talking all this cash shit to her, telling her to get the hell out. I'm not talking to you. And unless you got somebody with big tits and cocaine, I don't want to talk to nobody. And she starts questioning him about, do you feel remorse after what you did to your father and all of that? And she pretty much lets him know, I'll make a deal with you. Because she's pretty much asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain you're in. And he's like, what does that have to do with anything? She says, well, depending on how much pain you're in will determine whether we send you back to jail. So are you in a lot of pain? And he's like, yeah, I'm in terrible pain. And he was also asking for more drugs, and it's like, you had enough. And he's still looking for that high because he's a junkie bitch. And it gets to the point where the doctor, who's a therapist, pretty much says, I'll make a deal with you. You have to meet with me every single day, and if you do, I'll keep you out of jail. And he's like, and if I don't? And she's like, well, I'll have you sent back, you know, immediately. And he's like, well, if it's gonna keep me out of jail, then fine, I guess I have to tolerate your ass. So that was the end of that. And I'm just like, Wyatt is just damaged beyond repair. But we're gonna see how this is gonna play out, though. So then we get the scene where Sandy finally comes to meet with Rihanna, and I swear I wanted to put a knife through Sandy's fucking neck, because Sandy didn't even have the balls to pop a gun at Wyatt, but you came up in there and you completely bullied that girl. Like, he was talking reckless shit to Rihanna. How come you ain't returning my calls? And she's like, look, we're over. He's like, you think it's over that easy? You owe me all the stuff I bought you, everything I did for you. And she says, I pay it all back to you. And he's like, I don't want the money. I want you. And then her boss comes in there and he starts disrespecting her. Mind your business, bitch. Get the hell out of here. And she's like, are you okay, Rihanna? She's fine. Because Rihanna is crying because he's constantly bullying her and harassing her. And she had to move multiple times, and he continues to find her because he's a Malone. And he uses the Malones to bully a female. You piece of shit. So he pretty much tells her that, look, nothing you do is going to keep me away from you. And if I have to love you to death, then that's exactly what I'll do. Because you are mine. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. And then she was even telling him, like, look, you can't be doing this. I could lose my job. And he's like, and? Like, Sandy is a straight up bitch. I completely agree with Mitch when he said that yeah, he's just as much of a bitch as his father was, cause he's straight bitch made. You up in here bullying women, but you can't fight a man. Fuck out of here. And then her boss lets her know, like, look, you need to get a handle on this, or you're gonna have to start working from home, because he even asked where she lived and she wouldn't tell him. But he's like, I'm gonna find out though. So I'm like, he's been stalking her for years, and it's insane. It's a damn shame that he's that much of a piece of shit. But then her boss had let her know that, look, you need to get a handle on this situation, or yeah, I won't allow you to be at the office anymore. You're gonna have to work from home, which means he'll find out where she lives. Crazy as hell. Then we get a scene with Marty and Catherine. She wants to know about, he tells her about Wyatt and that Wyatt's okay, but then she wants to know about bail, and he said that, oh, there's no bail. No judge is willing to let her out of jail. And then like he said, and she says, so that means I'm gonna be stuck in here all this time? And he's like, yeah, until the trial. And she's like, well, how long the trial is gonna take? She says, give or take 2 months. She's like, and he's like, there's nothing I can do. And then she pretty much says, well, I'll find somebody who can. And Marty's like, you're gonna fire me? She's like, hell yeah, you can't get me out of jail. Why the fuck would I keep you on? And he's like, I don't think that would be wise, Catherine. And she's like, well, quite frankly, I don't give a shit. So what? And he was like, but you're in jail for murder. And she's like, yeah, a murder I didn't commit. But if you can't help me, I know who can. And he's like, oh God, not Veronica Harrington. She's like, yeah, she can actually move mountains unlike your ass. And she's like, well, I think the DA is going to use her as a witness against you. But he says, there's one judge that I can try. Let me do my work and I'll be back to you as soon as I can. She's like, yeah, get on it and get on it fast. So she wasn't playing. Then we get another scene. Then we get a scene with Veronica and her hitman, the one that's protecting her, and he lets her know that she's still being followed, and everything. And pretty much, she asked, so what you got on the bureau? And she's like, and he's like, excuse me? She's like, bureau, that's my slang for boy girl, talking about Kobe. Yeah, Kobe Jones Willis. And she was like, oh, he got an expose on him and pretty much says that he's an escort. And she's like, say it again. He's an escort. And she said, say it in your language, because he's French. And he was like, he's an escort. And she's like, oh, an escort. Interesting. Then she says, also, I want to file on Tanner, who's Justin's brother. I want to get all the tea on him. Then she starts pushing up on him like, I know you really want this. And trust me, you can get it after I get your blood work. But right now, I need your muscle. So handle me. And he's like, you know, you take care of me, I take care of you. So they be doing this little dark flirting with each other. But something about that hitman don't sit well with me. He could be low-key setting Veronica up and she don't even know it. Because I still don't trust his ass. So we just got to see on how that's going to play out. Now I'm going to talk about the scene that really rocked this episode. Jim, Hannah, and David. They walk in on Hannah. Jim immediately starts with the condescending insults, calling her a bitch and saying, you're not going to leave here with my personal information. You have no business being in my house. You're not invited and blah, blah, blah. And then he tries to grab Hannah's stuff and she gets the fire poke and she's like, touch me again and I'm going to wear your ass out, Jim. I mean, because he was just being all kind of disrespectful. And then, of course, you got David is like, let me talk to her. Calm down, Jim. Calm down. I'm like, you just can't help but be Jim's little boy, can you? So he goes downstairs and tries to talk to Hannah. And of course he starts getting that, you know, aggressive shit with her. And Hannah ain't having it. She's like, you know, I'm not giving you anything. He's like, you need to hand over those papers. They do not belong to you. You have no business with their personal information. And I will talk to Catherine and I will have you fired. Little do you know, motherfucker. So when she's pretty much tells him like, look, touch me and see what happens. She grabbed a little candle holder. And as soon as he grabbed her, she clocked the shit out of David's head. And then all of a sudden, they call the police on her. And then Jim comes down there like, yeah, I'm gonna call the police on the maid. Yeah, that's all you are. And you need to put that candle thing down because that's more than your whole salary. And I'm like, And then here it is. They sitting in the living room. She's still working on the paperwork and everything, and Jim and David are sitting side by side like a bunch of dumbass puppies, and Jim is still talking shit, you know, talking about, yeah, she don't even know how much of a dumb bitch she is. Yeah, she don't probably even know half the shit that's in there. It ain't my fault that she that she barely got a high school education and blah, blah, blah. And then, like, you know, her whore of a daughter and that punk son of hers, and like her damn daughter stole my $8 million, and you know, it ain't my fault that you're at the bottom of the gutter and all this shit. And then it got to the point where David started to speak. He's like, first of all, I'm here for how you feel, but the way you coming off is very racist, Jim. And he's like, look, I will screw anything, yellow, black, pink, polka dot, whatever. You know, I just feel the way I feel, but that doesn't mean that I'm a racist. And then Hannah was like, yeah, that's what all racists say. And she's like, no, honey, I'm just an elitist. And you are not on my level and all of that. And she says that, what do you think you're doing? Huh? What do you think you're doing? Like, do you even know what you have in your possession? See that thing you have in your hand? That's called a portfolio. Oh, and that right there, that's a PML file. And she's like, yeah, and going through your PML file, I see that you have 2 businesses under Catherine, and they're pretty much, losing business 30% every year. Now, a wise person would have made that a 501c3 based on the neighborhood that it was in, and it could have done a lot for the community, and you would have turned a profit. They call that a capital gain. I was like, Hannah, you better work, bitch! Yes! Hannah gave me so much life. And he was still talking his shit, being reckless. Finally, the police show up, and it's a woman. He pretty much says that she was like, you have to come with me, ma'am. And she's like, I'm not going nowhere. Why do I have to leave? Because she said, because you actually assaulted this man. And she said, oh, I assaulted him? What the hell did he tell you? Because I told him not to put his hands on me, and he did, and I clocked his ass upside the head. So actually, I acted in self-defense. And then she was like, well, fine. I don't want to press charges. We just want her to give us back the papers. Because that's not hers, and she has no business with it. And pretty much the woman was like, well, you need to give up the papers. She's like, I'm not giving you nothing. She's like, but ma'am, they're not yours. She was like, She gets up, pulls out the portfolio, presents it to the police officer, and was like, I am the executor of Catherine Cryer's estate. So that means I have complete autonomy of all of her businesses, her finances, and what goes on in this house. And then she looked at Jim and was like, so tell me, Jim, what was that again that you were talking about? About the have and the have-nots? Bitch! I was like, cheers to you, Hannah. Hannah made me pull out some wine because Hannah was the true MVP of this episode. She really came through, and Jim looked defeated like a motherfucker, and I was here for it because Jim ain't shit. So I was so here for this. This was a really good episode. We finally got us a real good one, and I was here when Hannah shook the rafters and pretty much put it out there that Jim ain't got shit. Which is even funny because Celine is up here trying to take down Jim, but Jim ain't got shit. And then you have David sitting up here defending Jim, being his little errand boy, his stepping fetch it, his minion, but Jim ain't got shit. So, that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, get down in those comments and let me know. I love to hear from you guys. This was a really good episode. So until next time, everybody, take care. Oh, shit.